Hey, ambitious dentist, welcome to Start Your Dental Practice, the show for existing and aspiring dentists to take your dental practice to the highest possible level. I'm your host, Jonathan Van Horn, CPA and ABV, founder of dentistmetrics.com. In every episode, we aim to demystify the how to start a dental practice problem by bringing on world-class dentists, influencers, and consultants in the dental industry to pick their brain about how to get past the barriers involved from going from no practice to being a practice owner to owning your own successful dental practice. According to some recent statistics, 55% of Americans don't have dental insurance. And if your practice is only serving the 45% of patients that do, you are leaving a ton of money and profit on the table, as well as leaving a lot of people out to dry for their oral health. So one way to serve those without insurance is to offer an in-house membership plan. But when done improperly, that can often be more of a headache than a plus. But fortunately, there's a method to the madness when it comes to in-house membership plans, which is why I'm really excited to have today's guest, Jordon Comstock, on the show. Jordon is the founder of BoomCloud, a membership plan software that helps you focus on what matters. So if Jordon's name sounds familiar, you may have heard him and his partner Ben on the Navigating Dental Insurance podcast, in which we actually once discussed dental insurance as well as my take as a CPA. But what I love about Jordon's story is how he created a software based on his own needs, and in our conversation we really discuss in depth how the in-house membership plan works. So here's some of what you'll learn today. How Jordon got involved in the dental industry, the biggest problems most practices face who have in-house membership plans, why Jordon's love of technology and dentistry allowed him to create a product that dentists need, the many benefits of recurring revenue and why that should be a focus, what Jordon learned from developing and testing his software, and how it applies to growing your dental practice, as well as a whole lot more. It's a really good interview. So at the end of this episode, you'll also learn how to get Jordon's membership plan ebook as a bonus, so be sure to listen all the way to the end. Now, here's my interview with Jordon Comstock. Hey guys, sorry for the interruption. Really quick announcement for you. And if you're going to be a dental practice owner, you know you're at some point going to have to get a dental practice loan, whether it's going to be to acquire a dental practice or it's going to be to start a startup dental practice. You're going to have to get a loan. And I'm really proud to say that a company that I've worked with personally dozens of times over the past few years is our first sponsor after 80 episodes of Start Your Dental Practice. And our first sponsor is Bank of America Practice Solutions. So whenever you're going to be getting a new loan, whenever you're going to get a loan for starting your dental practice or acquiring a dental practice, you really want to make sure that you have three things when it comes to that loan. Number one, you want a really great interest rate. Number two, you want to make sure that the company that you're speaking with has a lot of experience and can guide you through the best path to be able to become a practice owner through the loan process. And number three, you want to make sure that the terms associated with that loan are the most advantageous for you. And I'm really happy to say that all three of these things, Bank of America just knocks it out of the park for you. And they've got some really great new promotions that I'm not even sure if one of these that they've even announced anywhere else other than what I'm about to say to you on the Start Your Dental Practice podcast. So, SYDPers, here is the announcement for this. So, number one, interest rates. They've got a couple of really great promotions. The first one is on new acquisitions. The first year of that loan, 1.89% for a dental practice acquisition right now in the first year. That's crazy low. You never even hear of loans dipping below 3%. Nonetheless, less than 2% on that first year. And then after the first year, it's still super competitive compared to everybody else out there because Bank of America always comes in as either the lowest interest rate or one of the lowest interest rates of any banks that are out there. So that's the first part of that. Again, you want to make sure you have a great interest rate. Number two, you want to make sure that the company you're working with has a lot of dental practice experience. I don't know if any company out there in the world has more dental practice loan financing experience than Bank of America does. They're fantastic at it. Their reps are really good, and they're going to be able to tell you if the deal is going to be able to get done or if it's not going to be able to get done. So they don't waste your time at all, and they can help you understand the different nuances throughout that process. Fantastic. The third piece of this is that the best terms. So here's the really cool part. A lot of people don't realize this, but whenever you are buying a practice or starting a practice up, most banks, if not, 90% of them out there, require that you have disability insurance as well as life insurance to cover the payments for that loan, as well as to cover the total value of those loans. This goes up and down quite a bit for different types of loan sizes, as well as different risk profiles for the person receiving the loans. But let's call it $600 a month for those insurance rates. Very, kind of middle of the line for you. $600 a month you have to pay in addition to the loan to be able to have those insurances funded, to be able to have that policy, to have that loan. Bank of America is getting rid of that completely. So you do not have to have that. If you think about that $600 a month, that's $7,200 a year. Over 10 years, that's $72,000 you're going to save by going with Bank of America Practice Solutions. It's really no brainer. If you're going to have to get a loan, which you are going to have to do 100%, you may as well go with a company that has great interest rates, has great experience with the industry, and has the best terms out there in the market today. So if you're currently in the process of shopping loans, 100% give Bank of America Practice Solutions a try. And if you would mention that you came through the SYDP community, it would help out the podcast a lot and also allow us to give back to our very gracious sponsors. Again, this is an advertisement, a paid advertisement. If you go to them, I will, have more advertising revenue come to me. So if you enjoy the podcast, I would appreciate you helping out our sponsors. And if you are interested in that loan process, just text the word bank loan, one word, BANKLOAN, to 33444. Again, that's bank loan to 33444, and we will reach out to you. Thanks, guys. Hello, ambitious dentist. Today, I have with us the founder of BoomCloud. BoomCloud, despite being a really awesome name for a dental software, is a software that really solves a great problem in a lot of practices I see today. BoomCloud helps you create, organize, and automate your in-house membership program. A lot of the time whenever we're talking to dentists and I'm talking to clients and there's just people in the industry that have a membership plan, there's a lot of mystery about how you actually run the thing and actually get people to pay you every month and how you record the different transactions and all the logistics about it. And, my answer is usually, hey, why don't you just pay somebody else to take care of this for you, or set up some type of system or software to get this stuff running for you. And BoomCloud does a fantastic job of that. And we have the founder of this company on with us today, Mr. Jordon Comstock. Jordon, thanks so much for coming on, buddy.
Anytime, man. It's good to be on. Excited to be here.
So I like to start pretty much every episode with the same question of every person, because I think that's what everyone wants to know in this industry. And that is, how did you get into the dental industry? What made you decide to join all of us geeky dental brethren?
Great question. I grew up in dentistry. My dad and my grandpa owned a dental lab that's still active today here in Utah, and then my mom is actually an office manager. So grew up in dentistry. I never ever thought that I would be in dentistry. I never wanted to. I play guitar, and I always wanted to do something with music. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, I think 2008, I started my career, really started my career. And it was like in the middle of the recession, I could not find a job. And my dad's like, why don't you just come and work at the lab? And one day you can own it. And I'm like, oh, cool. That sounds awesome. I've always wanted to own my own business. But I don't know.
I think there's more women in dentistry. I think there's more chicks in dentistry than guitar, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And basically I started, I have a twin brother. And we both decided to go work at the lab together. In fact, he's still there today. But that's kind of how I got started, because of my family ties from my grandpa, my mom and dad in the industry. That's the reason why I got introduced into it. But then I always had a fascination with technology. And when I started with my dad at the lab managing it, I realized that he didn't even have a website, right? And I'm like, man, this is the 21st century, dude. How come you don't have a website? And sure enough, my entrepreneurial curiosity started strengthening, I guess, and I started messing with technology and creating websites on the side there. So that's kind of how my tech side evolved from the dental lab, believe it or not. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my story in a nutshell, how I got involved in dentistry.
So, how you got started in that regard. How did you come through to creating a software that helps automate the membership plan function in dental practices?
Awesome. Yeah. So as I was at the lab, pretty much every day we would get calls from dentists, and they would pretty much be complaining about PPO insurance, right? And they would try to negotiate their fees with us, saying, oh, our PPOs, they're reducing the amount they're paying us, so we got to figure out, our costs, which makes sense. So it was a problem that we dealt, every week it felt like we were always talking to a doctor about that. And it bothered me that seemed like there was a huge issue in the industry. And sure enough, I switched over to the marketing department on the dental lab and started meeting with dentists on a daily basis. And I kept hearing, the complaints about dental insurance in the industry. I'm like, man, there's got to be a better way to help these dentists with it. And sure enough, I stumbled upon an office that was one of our clients at the dental lab, and they had a membership program. And I had just got done reading a book called The Automatic Customer by John Warlow. I highly recommend it. It talks about how to generate recurring revenue in any business or any industry. It's a fantastic read, and it's super short. And I think you can get it on Audible as well. But I just got done reading that book, and it fascinated me that a dental practice had this model, a membership model, generating recurring revenue. So I just started asking, I'm curious. I'm a curious guy. So I started asking, how are you guys managing this? Is this like super beneficial to your practice? And sure enough, like, this is what we promote as much as we can. This is one of our power weapons, I guess, right, in the industry. How we can number one, earn more profits and generate recurring revenue, and then lock down the patients for loyalty. So I was fascinated with it, and sure enough, they said we're using Google Docs to organize everything. I'm like, are you storing payment information on Google Docs? And sure enough, they said, yeah, we've got all the information of all of our patients. I'm like, on Google Docs? And it's very unsecure, right? If you have your financial data on a place such as Google Docs, because it's not encrypted and built for credit card storage. So sure enough, I then started designing our software. Because my background, I went to college and I studied what is known as UX design, which stands for user experience. Studied that in marketing. And so I just started drafting up an idea, working with this practice on how we could create a software to help them manage their program. And sure enough, we got to the point where it worked really well for them. And BoomCloud started growing with other practices. And that's kind of how I got started with my topic or niche, if you want to call it, today in dentistry.
Very cool. So whenever you're doing that kind of the fleshing out of the software and the development of the experience and things like that, which, by the way, if you go to boomcloud.com, the website,
boomcloudapps.com.
Sorry, Boom. Yeah. What a great host. He doesn't even know the website of the guy that's coming on the show. So boomcloudapps.com. The website's really great looking. There's also some pictures of the dashboard, which is really fantastic. One of the things that bugs me to no end in this industry is all the terrible looking software, and this is really good looking software.
Me too. There's some bad software out there, and we actually just did a big update last night, and adjusting some of the details and adding some more metrics in the software. And software is an evolving product. It's always maturing. It's always changing. It's kind of fun to be involved in a product like that.
Well, I give you the JV stamp of software UX approval or design approval, rather than it being something from the the early 90s from some type of Windows ME. I guess I'd actually be in the 2000s, obviously, since it was ME. But anyway, so whenever you're going through this process of designing and things like that, I mean, what problems were you seeing practices have with actually getting this membership plan up and running and actually, making it work inside of their practice?
That's a wonderful question, and that's exactly the question that we would ask practices. What are your struggles? What are your issues? So we can try to figure out how to solve them with software. One of the issues, the big one I still see today with practices that have existing membership programs and they're not using a software to help manage it, is the ability to track and automate monthly or yearly payments, right? This particular office that I'm thinking of, in the early days when we started creating the software, they were having their staff manually run their cards, and a lot of practices still do this today, which is crazy in my mind, but they were manually running the cards each month or each year, right, when those renewals would occur. But then they were tracking them all in Google Docs or an Excel spreadsheet, so the staff manager would, or the office manager would, or whoever was managing would go down every day and just like go through the list and see when those payments needed to be renewed. And as a program grows to a certain point, it becomes impossible to manage, right? And one of the biggest issues, obviously, that we help fix is automating those payments and doing automated renewals, whether it's monthly and yearly for the practice. And then we also have alerts in our dashboard that if a payment for some reason declined, it'll automatically alert the office manager, and it'll also alert the patient, prompting them to update the payment information in the patient portal of our software. So that's probably one of the biggest issues that I saw initially when we started creating the software, is just the automation of payments, because most practices their program, but then they would run into, they seem to stall because it got too much of a burden, administrative burden for them to grow the program, and the office manager would be like, I don't want to grow this. This is becoming too much work for us.
Oh, interesting.
Right?
So the staff members were actually imploding it or hindering the growth of it because it was more work for them every time they signed somebody on.
Yep, more work for the staff, and it just wasn't scalable because they didn't have a model that could allow them to scale. Now we're seeing practices in 1 month signing like over 200 patients up, which is crazy. Signing 200 patients up in 1 month, but at least they have it like a system now to help them organize everything and even send a patient a link, and the patient can sign up through our online portal. But those probably the biggest problems that we saw with practices, and we knew that the membership program has been a huge benefit on the business side of a practice, because I mean, I'm sure you see this with PPOs. They definitely ruin the profit margins in the procedures, right? So when a patient is signed up for a membership program, you got the best of both worlds: recurring revenue and higher profit margins. But definitely, they wanted to grow it, but they hit a stall point where they couldn't grow it. Some of the other issues that we saw is that some practice wanted to track the benefits, much like an insurance company tracks benefits. I'm sure they have software and things like that to track all the benefits that patients receive. We created a feature in the software to help the office manager and staff be able to track and record benefits, when they've been received, things like that. And then easily creating plans, like we use Dr. Christopher Phelps' membership template. His template in our software. A lot of practices, they wanted to create membership programs, but they didn't know where to start. So we actually had Dr. Phelps agree to share his template with us. And if you don't know Dr. Phelps out there, I know he's been on a couple of your episodes. He's like the genius when it comes to in-house membership programs. And we've partnered up with him. He's actually an advisor to our company and with me. I speak to him quite a bit each week. And he gives us some tips and pointers on how we should keep growing, features and things like that in our software. But
he's a great guy. He's a great overall person, in addition to being like an amazing marketer and dental person too.
Amazing marketer. And he, what was it, his first year, he signed up like just under 1,000 patients, which is amazing. And, we have a handful of practices that are on track for that, Dr. Phelps style, right, is what I call it. But one of the other problems, what I'm trying to get to is one of the other problems that we've seen out there is just being able to have a plan that they can offer to their patients. We offer templates that they can use that are automatically set up in our program.
So tell me this: you said you have a handful of people that are doing Dr. Phelps type numbers or whatever it is.
His plan.
Yeah. Tell me about what is the framework? What does the practice look like that has the potential to do that? Do you have an idea? Are you able to see that?
Like, what does an example plan look like? Is that what you're trying to figure out?
No, not like what an example plan is, but tell me what a practice that has that type of potential looks like. Whenever you're talking to them, what are some of the traits that you see from that practice?
Great.
That would be something that could potentially, because if there anyone out there in podcast listening land right now has been thinking about this and thinking about this and thinking about this to see if this might be the right opportunity for them.
Yeah, no, I can tell you, I usually can tell when a practice is going to be really successful at these types of programs, is because number one, they discuss marketing with us, because you can obviously offer this to your existing fee-for-service patient base, right? And fee-for-service, if any of your listeners don't know, it's the insurance base or the patient base that is not on insurance. You're out of network, that pay cash. But I see practices pulling reports from Dentrix or whatever practice management software they're using and saying, we have 25% of our existing patient base that is uninsured, which membership programs work really well with. So when they're pulling these reports and they're, when I first meet them or, on one of our training calls, I hear them talking about these reports that they're pulling. I know that they're on top of things and that they are definitely looking at the data, which is important, as you know, to understanding a market and to understanding how successful a practice can be with a program such as a membership program. So getting those reports and seeing those patients that are uninsured, and then also talking about a marketing strategy, right? Both internal and external marketing. We had a practice that signed up with us, and I immediately knew that they were going to be successful because they're sharing at least their ideas and getting my feedback when it comes to marketing. And sure enough, within the first month, they signed up 200 patients, which has been, they're a record holder right now.
Yes.
And marketing is easy, right? Especially these types of programs, right? Because
they almost sell themselves, right?
Yeah, a lot of times they sell themselves, but you still got to push them out and get awareness, right? You can create the best plan in the world, but if your community or your market has never even heard of you or the program you're offering, they're never going to come to your office, right? So, this particular practice that I'm thinking about that was successful, they did a direct mail campaign, which today, some people may think it's not very effective to do direct mail. But from what I've seen, it still is a viable marketing channel for membership programs, and then we have other practices that have been really successful with creating Facebook ads and targeting younger families that work really well. But to get back to your question, when I know that a practice is going to be successful is, number one, they've got their office manager is on board and excited about the program. If their team's not excited, nothing is going to work. Whether it's a membership program or a new technology, you got to excite the team, right? And then when they talk about their details in marketing, and then 3, collecting the data from their practice management software and figuring out the low-hanging fruit, which is their current uninsured patient base. I know that they're going to do really well when they take those things that we just talked about and apply it to the program. Hopefully, did that answer your question very well?
Yeah, perfectly. So if you're out there in podcast world listening in right now in the car, or if you're one of the many that likes to listen to us in the shower, I know there's a few.
Nice.
Then hopefully that strikes a chord. So how do you get your team invested in something like this? So you said you've got to have a great team.
Yeah.
To be able to actually do this, because as much as we all would like as business owners, it's not easy for a dentist who's, hopefully has their fingers wet to be, talking. By the way, are you in our membership plan? You should be.
Yeah.
You don't have the time to do that every day. So how do you get the team on board?
Yeah, that's definitely a big issue with anything in a practice, right? How do we get the team on board? And I think what we'll talk about today about that can apply to any whether it's a membership program or a new technology or service, whatever the practice is doing. But what I've seen work out there is practices will. So in our software, we've got a piece when you're setting up a plan that you can set up a one-time setup fee. Right, and what most practices do when they set up that one-time setup fee, maybe it's $50, maybe it's $25 or $100, whatever it is. What most practices do is they will incentivize their staff and say, look, the more people, let's say if there's a couple of different models we can do here. So the first model is office staff, meaning hygienists, assistants, office, managers, and office staff. If you talk about our membership program to our patients, and one of them decides to buy because of your conversation with them, I'm going to pay you a $25 bonus, right, to incentivize you guys to talk about this. That's one way that I've seen work really well with practices. Others treat it as like a group effort and say, if you guys sign up 50 patients to this program this month, or whatever the number, we will take everyone out to a fancy dinner and have a good time, or do like a group, a practice party, right? Those are the two things that I've seen. Another thing I've seen that incentivizes mainly on the like patient end is doing gift baskets and using that fee, that one-time setup fee, to pay for those gift baskets for the patient. So that's aside from like motivating the staff, it's mainly motivating the patient. But when it comes to motivating the staff, you want to offer incentives because staff members, it's not their business. They don't care much. They don't care as much about your business as you do. So if you can make them a part of it, that's probably going to be the best solution to get your staff members on board.
Very cool. So as far as the actual plan, you said you have Dr. Phelps's plan actually in there as a template. So do you guys find that you do a lot of assisting with actually the setup of the initial plan? Because I know there's a lot of confusion out there. Like, okay, is this a insurance plan? Is this a in-house plan? Is this a membership plan? Is this a discount plan? And like different states have different rules on that and things like that. I mean, is that anywhere in your world, do you have like any type of insight to that for people when they come in, or do you just say, hey, go talk to an attorney?
Well, absolutely. We do have insight, and then obviously we do advise that they talk to an attorney if that's something that they're worried about in their state. But in our software, we do have, and what makes us really unique is we have a piece called regulation management. We pull it directly from the website, from the National State Legislators website. I can't remember the direct link. But we pull it from there. They have, I think there's about a little under half of the United States has regulations. Most of the regulations that we see out there are if you have a membership program or a discount plan is what the states call it. You can't call it dental insurance. And
Sure.
On all your marketing copy in most states, it has to say in bold, prominent type, this is not insurance. That's pretty much the number one regulation. There are some states out there that require you to like register with them, and they look at your plans to make sure that it's not falling under the category of insurance, because that's the last thing you want to do. You don't want to be selling an insurance product because they're heavily regulated. But yes, we do assist with reviewing the plans if a practice wants us to, and basically it's really simple to create a membership program and not have it look like dental insurance, because basically rule number one is don't make it risk-bearing, where you're taking funds from that patient, whether it's monthly or yearly that they're paying you, putting a certain percentage in an account and then paying out claims. You just don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's obviously our software won't even let you do that. The practice would have to do that themselves, but yes, we do assist with reviewing plans with a lot of our clients if that's something they want. But most of the time they can create a plan from scratch from our software if they don't want to use the template. But most of the time dentists will use our templates and tweak them. Maybe they'll change the percentage discount that they're going to give the patients, or add a benefit like teeth whitening or something like that, right? They can tweak it slightly. But I usually tell people to say, use the framework that Dr. Phelps has created, because it's proven. It's a proven model. But if you don't offer some of those services, or you want to tweak some of those services on there, by all means, go ahead and do that in the software.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I know a lot of people get kind of that analysis paralysis whenever it comes to these membership plans. They're like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, but I don't know how to take the first step forward to figure out how to do this. So that's really cool. So, as far as other things that BoomCloud does, are there any other key features or benefits that BoomCloud offers to practices in addition to the membership plan?
Yeah, so we've got a few things. If you don't mind, I'll list them off,
Sure.
And then we can talk about them. So the first benefit that comes to my mind that is separate from the membership program management software is included in the software. We have a in-house patient financing software. So let's say I come into a practice, I don't have insurance, and I really don't. I don't plan on getting dental insurance for a long time, actually ever, because I signed up just barely to become a in-house member to my dentist's program. He's using the software, so it's awesome. But basically, it's in-house patient financing. I go into a dental office. I need a couple crowns done. I don't have dental insurance, so I'm not, they're not paying $1,000 or whatever they do with the payouts. So I need help paying for my crowns. Well, in our software, you have the ability to create what we call an in-house patient financing plan. Let's say it's just $1,000. You can set it up in our software where it's taking it out each month from monthly payments from the patient, and then you can also add your own interest rate, and that interest rate doesn't get paid to us; it gets paid directly to the practice. Right? It's another revenue stream that we've enabled practices to generate through our software. So in-house patient financing is what we call that. It's really a hybrid between automated payment plans and financing, right? Because they don't get paid a lump sum up front like they would do with Care Credit or anything like that. It's just an automated payment plan with interest tacked onto it. And then currently you collect it through credit cards, but we are doing a big update where you can collect it through ACH bank transfers in the software.
Very cool.
Yeah, in our current version on the membership side, you can do ACH transfers, but I think in the next few weeks we'll be releasing that for the in-house patient financing benefit. The second feature that our software does for practices is we've got contract management built into the software. Basically, most states require you to have a agreement that the practice the practice and the patient signs, right? So we've got a piece in our software where they can upload their agreement, and if they sign up online through the patient portal, the patient will do a digital signature and it'll automatically store it in their account. The practice can download it or send it via email to the patient as well. So contract management is another feature that no other membership software, as far as I can tell, has. And then we do a big payment history for each patient, and then an overall payment history in the software. So all the office manager can look in and say what came in today within the automation, and there's a date stamp and things like that. So that's kind of an overview there. And then we got pieces of our software that can integrate into the practice's website, so patients can sign up online, and then patients can actually log into our patient portal and get access to the patient dashboard, which comes with like a payment history and when the next payment is going to occur, and a list of benefits. And if a practice is using like our benefit tracking piece of the software, the patient will be able to see which benefits that have been received and which ones they can still go in and get from the practice.
Very cool. So I'm sure that means that they can also, have them come back in, that way. Probably if they're using the patient tracking system or the service tracking, then they can probably at the end of the year say, hey, you need to come in and make sure that you see us before any type of things expire. Very cool. So as far as the financing side, I've always been curious to this, and how do you feel about practices financing to patients? I've heard a lot of mixed feelings and emotions on this.
Yeah.
A lot of people are, there's an old adage of someone saying, why would you want to be a bank? Let the banks be the people that loan the people money. And then, you just, you don't have to deal with it. So I want to hear your perspective on that.
Well, I say if you're going to be a bank, at least start collecting interest. That's why we created our software. And, the reason why we created it is because a lot of practices were requesting those types of features in the software. So like, hey, what the heck, let's do it and see what happens. And sure enough, we actually got, Dr. Justin Moody from the Dental Implants and Warners podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So those guys, they're awesome. They just signed up with us, and the main reason they signed up is because they want to start offering in-house financing through our software. And I mean, there are mixed feelings about this with the financing piece if they're going to manage themselves. I have found, just talking to practices, that most practices will create a monthly payment plan, and they'll manually collect those payments from the patient.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to do that way, don't do that. That's the dumbest way you can collect financing, or if you're extending out funds from treatment, don't do it that way. If you're going to do it, collect interest and use like ACH to automatically withdraw those funds from the patient. It's more secure. For example, when I was managing my dad's dental lab, he had a dentist that got up to like $25,000 that he owed him over the months, and my dad didn't have a system to help him automate those payments. Like, he would send invoices, and the doctor would never pay him. So if you're gonna do some type of financing, or if you're finding that some of your patients aren't paying their invoices on time, then set it up so it's automated. And then, since you're taking that risk, add the some interest rate in there, so you can be rewarded for that risk you're taking. That's kind of my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it, to be honest with you. And you mentioned Dr. Moody. It's funny you mentioned that. I was actually on their podcast whenever I was at the Voices of Dentistry.
Oh, cool! I was going to go to that, but I missed it.
Yeah, it was really fun. And we were talking, and he actually mentioned, we do in-house financing. And I was like, how often do you find people actually default? He was like less than 10%, and we typically they typically finance implants is what they're doing. And so, if you're looking at a less than 10% default rate, then you're basically saying, okay, whatever my fee is, if I'm charging 7% interest, then you're basically breaking even.
Yeah.
Off of the default. If you're charging no interest, you're basically just taking a 7% haircut on what your total price for that service is, right?
Yeah.
7-10%. So, and if that allows someone to take that next step of being able to be able to say yes to a treatment, it just makes so much sense to be able to say, okay, look, we've given you this in-house plan that you're a part of now. We've also been able to say you'll be able to save, we'll be able to stretch your payments out over a 12-month period. To where it's you can fit it within your budget, and you can get that $4,000 or $5,000 treatment done today in order to be able to make this make sure that you're in good shape from an aesthetic standpoint, and you're happy with your smile and able to take care of yourself. I mean, just seems to make a lot of sense to me. And I'll be honest, the people that I've heard of that do it, they don't typically report a large amount of default rates. I mean, it doesn't seem it seems like people want to pay their dentist because typically if they have to have work done, they probably want to go back to that dentist at some point.
Absolutely. So they don't want to burn bridges, right?
Yeah. I mean, why would you want to make the guy mad why would you want to stiff the guy that's, adjusting your braces every month
No, absolutely. And the reason why I think patient financing is a great, because, well, number one, in dentistry, over half of the United States does not have dental insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning they don't have any help, if any, right? Dental insurance is not very good, in my opinion, in most people.
I don't even know how they call it insurance, to be honest.
It's not, it's not even real insurance, right? Yeah. It's essentially a discount plan. Mm-hmm. But basically, more and more patients, they'll need some help. I remember on the medical side, me and my wife, we had to do a medical procedure that cost $20,000. I didn't want to suck out my cash reserves and my bank account and pay for the procedure. So these guys had a in-house financing program that they were a private medical practice. They weren't corporate. That they did, and it was fantastic. It was automated. It was all through my bank account. So, and I like to automate my payments because I hate paying my bills manually each month. Right?
Yeah, it's been a while since I wrote a check. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, $20,000. That's a huge amount of money for. At the time, I was like 26, I think. It's a huge amount of money for a 26-year-old, right? And since they had that patient financing, essentially, me and my wife decided to go for it because it was like $200 a month, like super affordable. It was like, I think it was a 2-year plan to pay it off. So yeah, I'm a big advocate of it, and I think it's a great way to increase case acceptance for the practice, especially if you have a system that can automate it. And I'm big when it comes to talking about systems in a business. If you've read the book, have you read the book E-Myth Revisited?
Oh yeah.
Or Built to Sell is another book in that category. In fact, I was actually able to meet the author of E-Myth Revisited. I went out to speak with Sorona, flew me out last year to speak at one of their marketing conferences, and
Cool.
one of their keynote speakers was Michael Gerber. Yep. And we were to hang out afterwards and got a signature from his book. But that's another book that I highly recommend, especially for dentists. I know he's got a version of it for dentists that talks about how to organize your business into systems and how to create systems, for your office. There's a parable that I always like to talk about. I think it's written in. Have you ever listened or read a book by Robert Kiyosaki?
Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad is his most famous book. He's got another book that I read that told this parable about the parable of the pipeline. Are you familiar with this?
No, I'm not.
So basically, the parable of the pipeline, it's a short story that talks about two friends in like ancient times where there was not much technology, and they got hired by the city to haul water from the lake back over to the city well, right? And they got paid.
The 1980s, probably.
Yeah, 1980s time. Yeah, that's right around the time. I'm guessing. What year were you born? Were you in the 80s?
82. Yeah.
Okay, so we're about the same age. So yeah, about that time, 1980s. We had
the forgotten time, the long ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, these two men got hired to haul water from the well, or from the lake to the village well, and they were given buckets. Right? They're like, here's buckets. Go back and forth. We'll pay you on delivery with water. So both the men went back and forth each day, delivering those buckets of water and getting paid on delivery. And they're like, yes, we finally got a job. It's awesome. We're making some decent money. I was able to buy a new horse and a mud house or whatever they made back then, right? But one of them was dissatisfied. And he's like, this is a lot of work. I get home every day and it's a pain in the butt. These buckets of water I'm carrying are hurting my shoulders. I feel like crud every day I wake up, and I'm not passionate about going out and building my bucket carrying business, right? So he decided to create what we know now today as a pipeline, right? He spent a little bit more time after his work day to create these systems known as a pipeline, and eventually after a few months he was able to create what we know now today as a pipeline, which then generated consistent recurring revenue for this guy in the story, and then it allowed the system to work for him versus him carrying buckets, right? So it was efficient. So usually when I tell this story, there's two things that we can learn about this managing practices, right? Number one, the importance of recurring revenue in a business, and I'm sure you, being a CPA, understand cash flow, I hope, and having a predictable revenue source that comes, whether it's monthly or yearly. So yeah, the first lesson is figure out how to create a recurring revenue model. In dentistry's case, it's membership programs, right? Number two, how to have a system to help manage that, whether it's managing a membership program or whether it's managing a procedure or process on the business side of your practice. You got to have a system to help you organize that and automate things, or even, if a staff member leaves, you still have that system. That system's there. It's not all in the staff member's mind, and then your parts of your practice start crumbling because it was all in your staff member's mind. Put it in the system. Create systems. So those books, back to E-Myth Revisited, those are ones that I recommend. And then Built to Sell by John Warlow is another one that I recommend for systems. Anyway, I kind of went off on a tangent there. So
that's what podcasts were made for, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what they're made for. Yep.
So as far as the logistics of actually running this program and things like that, we've talked about some of the challenges. We've talked about the types of practices that are going to probably have the most success with. We've talked about how you can also add in patient financing as an additional way to get increased case acceptance, and the importance of processes in dental practices. What else is there that membership plans does for dental practices? I mean, we just covered a lot, and that may be it.
Yeah.
But what else do membership plans help people do?
Yeah. So on the practice and business side of the practice, we mentioned recurring revenue. We mentioned, or at least with our software, the patient financing. But with membership program, there's kind of a psychology to it, right? Are you a member of Amazon Prime by chance?
Sure.
Okay, so we can compare a dental membership program to Amazon Prime. They're very similar. They're offering different products and services, though, right? So Amazon Prime, I think it's $1 billion membership program yearly, and I can't remember the stats, but I know Dr. Phelps always talks about this, and I'm sure he probably did if you were on your show. Wait, no, I wrote it down. 240. I just remember that I wrote it down on my whiteboard here. Not patients, but the customers that are on a membership program compared to a non-membership program company. Let's just compare it to like Costco and Walmart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Costco has a membership, right? That you've got to be a part of their member to join their little club to get your bulk products from them, right? Consumers that spent were members of Costco, they spent 247% more than customers going to Walmart, right? So when they're part of a club or a membership program, there's a lot of psychology to it. They feel like they're getting more, so they spend more, right? So that's a psychological benefit that can happen when you install a membership program in your practice. Number two is because they feel like they're getting a good deal, they will accept treatment more likely, because a lot of times there's like 15-20% off crowns, right, when they sign up for the membership program. So there's that benefit. The third benefit that I see out there is patient loyalty, and even Dr. Phelps has spoke to me about this. When his patients sign up for a membership program, he knows that they're going to become loyal patients, and if that next dental ad comes to their office and says, get your free cleanings or $99 cleanings, right? He knows that he's locked those patients in to his practice. So he's not as concerned with the competition, because most states have a lot of dentists in them, and it's a competitive service in whatever state you're in. So patient loyalty is another thing that it helps promote, another benefit. And the fourth thing is helping the practice reduce dependence on dental insurance, which is my favorite thing. Because as you know, and I'm sure you see when you're dealing with practices financials, dental insurance decreases the profit margins for a dental practice. And as an entrepreneur and business person, I hate the word decrease profit margins. I hate that phrase right there, right? So by having a membership program, it helps you convert over your patient base to a fee-for-service model, which will in return increase your profit margins, meaning the money you make after all your expenses from a crown or any of your procedures. So those are some of the benefits that I like to talk about. I'm sure there's a lot more than we can cover here when it comes to membership programs. But
yeah, there's a lot. There's definitely a lot. You say that if you take a write-off of 30-40% off of insurance plans that have no love for you as a provider,
they're third party.
The thing that they love is to reduce your fees for no good reason whatsoever. Yeah. And there are horror stories of insurance companies just like withholding payment for multiple years.
Oh man, in Chicago, in Illinois, there's a huge issue going on that there's some practices that we actually have a lot of customers in Illinois, and there's a lot of issues there with dental insurance. I think they haven't paid out 2 years.
Yep.
Like, imagine, Jonathan, if your company didn't get paid for 2 years for the service you did, would you have cash flow issues?
I would think so. I would think it would be an issue. Yeah.
So I think relying on a third party, like insurance companies, to help grow your practice and attract patients is one of the dumbest things you can do. Obviously, sometimes you need to do that to attract patients if you're starting out, a practice. It's definitely a strategy, but you got to have an exit strategy, in my opinion, when it comes to working with PPOs, and a membership program can offer that for them.
I agree wholeheartedly. It's unfortunate that the PPOs have such a stranglehold, or the average U.S. patient thinks that they have to go through a dental insurance provider in order to be able to have that type of benefit, which is exactly what we're talking about today.
Yep.
Of effectively replacing and being a better model, to be blunt, and that you can just have it be in-house, have an in-house membership plan rather than having to rely on insurance to be able to come in and do all these other pieces that really aren't of that great a benefit one way or the other to the patient. So it's a win-win. It's a win for the patient. It's a win for you as the provider. It's a win for your staff. It's a win for everybody all in. So I always say, like, the biggest endorsement that I can give is that if I were a dentist, I would have a membership plan. I mean, that's
nice, man. So would I.
Exactly. It'd be one of the few no-brainers that there are in this industry to me. And I would try and sell that very much, because just like you said, Amazon Prime. I looked it up while you were describing that. They had continual growth for the past 3 years. They're at something like 66 million subscribers at this point, which is insane.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think everyone, probably everyone listening is going, yeah, I guess I'm that too. And you're absolutely correct that once you become a member of that plan, you're way less likely to go over to like Jet.com or to Walmart.com or any of the other people. I
got a story about that. What loyalty does with a membership program, right? The other day, I was looking at TVs at Best Buy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just down the street from my office. I'm like, I'll go look at some TVs and check them out, because I wanted to get another TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking around. I find the one I want. But sure enough, I've got my Amazon app right on my phone. Pull it up, and I'm like, I love the TV, how it looks. Boom, bought it on Amazon while I was in Best Buy. Right? That is a great example of customer loyalty of what a membership program does, because I got free shipping and it was a better deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the psychology behind a membership program. There was one thing that I just wanted to say, but I just totally spaced it, about like the psychology. But just keep in mind that a membership program does awesome psychology. Oh, I just remembered it. When you're talking to your patients about a membership program, the typical consumer that purchase a membership program, or one of the demographics, I guess I should say, is patients that have retired. They lose their dental benefits, right? Well, now the benefit that a practice has when they're talking to a patient like a retiree is they can say, well, if you go and sign up for dental insurance, you're going to be paying like around $600 a year. And most membership programs are around $300, $400 a year. Right, so they can use what we call the principle of contrast. It's a marketing principle where you can say, look, if you're going out and sign up for Delta Dental or whatever insurance company they're going to sign up with, you're going to be paying X, which is usually higher than the membership fee. Mm-hmm. When you sign up with us today, you can save all this. You don't have to deal with the hassles of working with dental insurance and working with us when we have to submit claims and everything like that. So you can use psychology on when it comes to selling it to patients, because it works. The principle of contrast. Look it up if you haven't researched it. It's a wonderful marketing tool, I guess I should say, when it comes to promoting and talking to patients about membership programs.
Sounds like straight out Dr. Phelps' book of the Principles of Persuasion.
Yeah. And I was going to say, if you haven't listened to that episode of Dr. Phelps, listen to it, because I think I listened to it a few weeks ago on your podcast. And in fact, I got a bookshelf across from me here in my office that has a ton of business books. That I got the Principles of Persuasion, and Influence is another one that I would recommend. Any practice, it will help you understand how to talk to patients and increase case acceptance as well. You can use those principles for that, and just to sell really anything. But it's a fantastic book, and hopefully it can be a useful one for you, for your audience, I should say.
Very cool. Well, you've been great today. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Jordon, as far as if anyone wants to reach out and find out more about BoomCloud, what's a good way for them to be able to do that?
Yeah, there's a couple ways. You can go to our website, which is www.boomcloudapps.com, and you can actually see a video demo there. You can schedule a demo with me or my team. Sometimes I'm crazy busy and I don't have time to do live demos, but we do have team members that have had 10 years plus in dentistry. Most of them are former office managers that work with us to help show the demos and talk about the strategy of a membership program. So you can go to our website. We got a ton of resources on there, from webinars to articles and everything in between there. And then obviously I have my own podcast called Navigating Dental Insurance. That is sayno2ppos.com, where we talk about how to reduce dependence on dental insurance. And then they can call directly our business line, which is 801-753-8586. And then if you want to email me directly, you can do so at Jordon, and that is spelled Jordon, at boomcloudapps.com. Those are the ways you can contact me.
Very cool. Well, Jordon, thanks again for your time, and thank you for being a friend of the podcast. And guys, go check out BoomCloud. Very cool software. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Jonathan.
So whether you already have an in-house membership plan or you're considering adding another one to your practice, knowing what mistakes to avoid can help save you both time and money. So as Jordon mentions, staying organized is one of the key factors in having a very successful membership plan. Don't be that person keeping everything in a Google Doc. So for a bonus today, Jordon has offered his free membership plan ebook, which walks you through the do's and don'ts of the membership plans. So trust me, just by doing one or two of his suggestions will save you a ton of headaches in the future. Also be sure to request a demo with Jordon and his team at BoomCloud if it's something you might be interested in. So to get the bonus, simply text practice to 33444. Again, that's practice to 33444, or visit startyourdentalpractice.com/bonus if you're outside of the U.S. You'll also receive updates on the latest episodes of Start Your Dental Practice, helpful tips for owning and running a practice, and promotional opportunities direct to your inbox. So that's it for today's episode, but that doesn't mean that the learning and implementation have to stop there. I've created a free report called The 15 Numbers That Will Make or Break Your Dental Practice. This report has been downloaded over 1,000 times by dental professionals. So if you want your free copy of this report that's going to outline what the most important numbers are in any dental practice, and it also includes how to look at your numbers, how to set goals, has a whole slew of really important information that is the culmination of all of my experience as a dental CPA, then just go to startyourdentalpractice.com/free gift. That is startyourdentalpractice.com/free gift. And so that's it for today, Ambitious Dentist. Again, I'm Jonathan Van Horn, CPA and ABV. I'll see you next week with another world-class practice owner or consultant that will help you start your very own dental practice. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Start Your Dental Practice community. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do me a favor and go to startyourdentalpractice.com/iTunes to leave your honest feedback and review on iTunes. It's going to help me create a better experience, a better show, a better podcast for you, the ambitious dentist. Your feedback really does help, regardless if you like the show today or not. If you didn't like the show, let me know, because it's going to help me create a better show and podcast for you. Lastly, if you know of anybody that would benefit from today's episode and today's content, today's guest, please feel free to share with them on social media or through email.